following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Oh there, welcome to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and as you can see, big smiley faces. I don't know what that is, Paddy, but big smiley faces today. And as you can see on screen with me, joined with my bearded brother, the OG, as always, it's Paddy Boy. Mate, first and foremost, I hope you had a cracking Christmas, whatever it was you were doing with yourself. How you feeling, mate?
Yeah, listen, all good, mate. Home for Christmas this year, which is an added bonus when you work in my line of work. Amazing time, full family over, presents, gifting, stuff like that. It was absolutely brilliant. And then to top it off today, we got a lovely 4-star performance, what we call it, or a 5-star performance, you don't know.
Or a Paddy performance?
Listen, 4-0, called it. Listen, absolutely brilliant, mate. And I'd just like to take a minute to say Merry Christmas and I hope you've a cracking new year to every one of your subscribers.
Absolutely. That's echoed for myself. Thank you very much to every single one of you. We're almost there. It's end of the year's coming up and we've only been around for the best part of 8 months or so, but we really do appreciate every single one of you taking time to support the channel and, you know, coming and joining us on a Boxing Day, because I'm pretty sure Boxing Day there's a lot of things you could be doing rather than listening to two guys like us sitting here on the telly. So thank you very much. Anyway, Paddy, yes, Celtic 4, Motherwell 0. Elsewhere, Aberdeen, but they're not even the contenders anymore. No. They get gubbed, they get chinned. And the team who last week, remember, they were back. They're back. They're not back. They're back to 12 points behind. They're that back. So it's all good. And we've got plenty to talk about. Before we do, we bit of housekeeping at the front end says, welcome back to the channel. As always, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. If you're new, then give us a wee bit of support. It costs you absolutely nothing. Hit that wee subscribe button, hit the bell icon. Every time we go live, every time we do an upload, you'll get notified. You miss nothing. If you want to help out with putting all this together, you can by way of membership. It's a donation to the channel, $1.99. There's no additional cost. It just helps put all this together because this costs us money. If you want to get us elsewhere, we're on X at CWPod1888. We're on TikTok, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Spotify. Plenty of ways to interact with the community. We're just over 1,400 now, which we are blown away with for such a short period of time. Help us get to that 1,500. Let's try and do that. That's a New Year's resolution. Let's get to that 1,500. So if you like what you see in here, get a wee share around, get more bodies in here. So anyway, Paddy, without further ado, let's get down to business, and I'll take a wee drink to that first and foremost, mate.
I didn't even bring a drink with me. I've got a can of Tango here.
I'm sure you can raid that cupboard that's to your immediate right hand side there and get out a wee half or something like that. I know what's in there. So anyway, mate, yep, as we say, we went into this game. Big game before we play Rangers, of course, at the turn of the year at Ibrox. I think there was a lot of people out there from the other side that were maybe thinking that the way that Motherwell could play, that this could be a wee sort of banana skin there. They were hoping that they'd go in and it would be, the 9 points and they could get a win over us and it would give them a wee bit more hope. But today we turn up, we do the business. There's a wee bit of changes in there. Let's look at the lineup as always. We like to bring these things up. We get the starter there. One or two, I'll be honest, but we knew that AJ was struggling, so Ralston came in. We'll go on to Ralston. I was quite impressed with him, if I'm being honest with you. Scales in for Trusty. I think we saw the improvement that we get for Scales from that attacking sense and that aerial threat. And then, of course, there's always been the big calls, hasn't there, with that midfield. We've went for Engels and Bernardo over Hatate. And, of course, we were shouting out for it, as was Paul. We're wanting Ida up front. And the other outlier there is Yang, who we'll get on to again, because I think that in terms of last performance, a lot of people are saying the Yang experiment is over. I don't necessarily think that's changed, but a couple of changes there for the start, mate. But nonetheless, still pretty strong, eh?
Yeah, it's a strong side. We spoke about that countless of times on the channel as well, having like for like and having guys coming in and doing a job. You touched on Liam Scales, mate. I thought Scalesy was fantastic today. He gives you so much more going forward, and I think what Trusty does, Trusty is probably a better defender than him, but he gives you a lot more going forward, and he's got that forward-thinking style of play, which I think just suits us down to the ground, especially against teams like Motherwell, who we know are going to be well equipped to deal with that, aren't they?
Absolutely. And, that's the thing. We get him coming in. It's unsure as to what exactly is happening with Trusty. I'd like to think it was just a case of Scales coming in because he did so well when he came on. He made that improvement in the Rangers game, and then obviously he's kicked on for there. But no, in terms of that lineup there, I was fairly content with it. I think we done our group chat. We mentioned the big one for me was getting to see Adam Eder come into the team, trying to stake a claim. And I actually don't think off the back of this one, Paddy, he's done his chances any harm whatsoever. Didn't get a goal, 1 or 2 wee chances in the game. But the one thing that we saw from was a lot of energy, and he really helps join up that play. That's what I'm looking for. In terms of the other guys that came in, we said Scales, good solid game. Taylor maintained his place. I thought Taylor was actually very good today. Again, a guy who's up and down. Ralston, got to give him a wee special mention. The Bricky, I was very impressed with him. We've seen a lot of it. I don't think he was helped out at times with Yang, who we'll go on to. But all in all, mate, I think it puts us in right good stead for going to the game against Ibrox. It was nice to see Kuhn as well coming back. That's a positive. Maeda getting a goal. So lots of pluses there.
Yeah, listen, loads of pluses. And you spoke about Big Ida. We'll start off with him. I was talking to Joe about it earlier, and we were comparing kind of Kyogo and Ida a wee bit, and we were talking about the runs that Kyogo makes off the ball and things like that, and he was saying how Ida doesn't really do that, but what he does give you is that, like you said, that link-up. He's that person that's in there, and he gets the ball into his feet, and he can hold players off. Kyogo's not normally known for holding off defenders. He's going to use his speed to get in behind them, but Big Ida can hold it up and then get everybody else into play as well. And you've seen that a few times. And the ball's getting played into his feet, and he's just holding up the play, waiting for somebody to kind of run off of him as well. Now, I know strikers are going to get judged on their goals, but what he's doing is he's bringing other players into play. And like you said there, Steve, we're getting our goals for other parts of the team. We're getting goals for Kuhn, we're getting goals for Maeda. Do you know what I mean? There's goals all over the park.
Yeah. So no, it's been very, very positive. And the one thing on this performance today, again, we always say, take it as you find it, right? First half, wee bit sticky. We kind of knew what Motherwell were going to do. We had this exact problem when we took the draw with Dundee United, because we had teams that I didn't necessarily think that they were camped in as such, but they were definitely deep. On paper, they lined up with a relatively 3-5-2. It looks quite attacking on paper, but as we say, they're managing to drop back, make it awkward for ourselves and pass around. However, the one thing that I definitely thought that we saw a vast improvement on from the game against Dundee United was, particularly in the opening 10 minutes, it just felt that the pace, the momentum, the tempo of the play was a lot more, purposeful. We were moving the ball about, some nice wee triangles of play between the midfielders, but not reverting to that going back the way all the time, trying to always look for the forward pass, and particularly in that opening sort of phase of the game, I thought Bernardo was outstanding. For me, I think over the piece of the game, I think for me it was between Bernardo or Carter Vickers, to be honest, who would have been my man of the match from there. Obviously, we know Engels gets it. We'll go on to Engels. Maybe that's a confidence boosting wee award there, but I thought in that opening 10 to 15 minutes, you could really sort of see what we were trying to do. There was a right spring in a step, which was a pleasant surprise. Everybody was looking a lot more lively, and we were zipping the ball about, and that's as much as you can ask for a response after a draw. You know what I mean?
Definitely. When you spoke about Bernardo there, mate, when Bernardo plays, he does seem to drive forward quite a lot. He seems to push, and he drives everybody else forward with him, and you started to see Callum McGregor coming in there, like you say, in the wee triangles with the wingers and stuff. Yang had a couple of good touches as well in there when he was getting involved with that. He was getting the wee flicks here and there and things like that. So it was nice to see him getting involved in the play, because we know he's got a little bit of that in his locker, like getting past players and like the wee silky touches here and there. So that was nice to see. And for me, just pressing, like you said, not passing the ball back. We still had the side to side, the possessional play, which we always, it's just part of Celtic, isn't it? Now that's what we do. We keep the ball and we frustrate our opponents. But it was nice to see that press and starting to kind of make the back four really struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll bring it up nice and early just for talking. So, we always show you the stats. We don't put a heavy lean on them, but in terms of showing what you've got there, I mean, look, 84% possession. We are at home. You're always going to expect the lion's share there, but what is, as you say, is possession. Look at it, 873 passes in that match. Now, again, we were guilty having near enough that against Dundee United, but it didn't really feel purposeful. The difference here was we were seeing a lot more of the DNA, the way that we've been playing. And again, for Ralston, to bring him into it, the one thing that we were getting far much more out of him was great overlap, constantly wanting to get in behind his man, great delivery into the box, and a really, really good workmanlike performance for him. We saw the Taylor doing Taylor things, coming to midfield, and I thought Maeda, where he didn't have the best game, he was still relatively lively. So we're seeing a lot of really positive there. But by comparison, now I know we're at home, right? But 23 shots and the 7 on target and the 8 that were blocked, it is a vast, vast improvement over 1 shot on target away to Dundee. Now I know you're away, and it's, horses for courses and all that nonsense, but that's the kind of response you want. It was 4-0. The first half was sticky, but you just felt that we managed to control that game without really exerting ourselves. The gears were there if we wanted to work through them.
Aye, exactly. You looked at the bench, and like you said, the guys that we started the game with, if you would have told me that going in at half-time would have been sitting at, 1-0?
Yeah.
You were buzzing with that. You'd be like, right, that's fine, that's okay. Second half will kick on. I thought the guys that did come off the bench eventually, which we will get to, were absolutely fantastic, and that's what you're needing. If you can go out there and, like you say, Steve, horses for courses, if you can go out there against a Motherwell and start with that side and finish it the way we did, you're not overexerting all the players. You're still managing to rest players in this busy period. And like you said, we've got big games to look forward to. So being able to rest what we would class as our so-called first teamers is absolutely phenomenal, especially getting that result as well.
Well, as we've done with the last game, I'd like to really just discuss performances. Obviously, we'll get on to some of the key points of the match and things like that, but I want to talk about a couple of performances. And again, I always have a wee look between my group chats and what's been said online, and just to sort of get a gauge to sort of think of, is what my thoughts, what was my reading, my view of the game, was that echoed by people out there? Not that you look for validation, but it's always interesting to see what different people think, particularly folk that are there. I spoke to my mates in the chat, Theo, he was at the game, and he put out a few things. Now, the one that we want to go to, because we spoke a lot about him last week, was, of course, Yang. I'll be honest, I was very surprised to see him in. Now, with the greatest deal of respect to say this, I think that is just a bit of a sad indictment of where our actual perceived quality of squad depth is. Now, we know we've got the injury to Forrest. We know that. But Palmer, again, didn't get on. He ruined these chances as far as I was concerned the last week as well. And it just sort of sums up really where we are in terms of that department. Something that we need to be looking at. We'll talk about that again near the end, I'm sure. But Palmer and Yang gets the nod today. He gets the opportunity. You says you think it's some good touches. The vast reading that I'm seeing, and certainly from where I am, is that no matter as much as you can say, there's a player in there, there's flashes of brilliance. I think over the piece, I've got to say, for me at least, it's just simply not going to work. Let me hit you with the key footnotes. 44 appearances for Celtic, 1 goal, 1 assist. I mean, Paddy, how do we dress that up?
Yeah, listen, he's no Nicholas Kuhn. He's not going to be the be all and end all in that position. Like you said, he's down the pecking order, but at the minute he's all we've got. And do you know what? I did see something in the other day. I seen a few, like I said, touches here and there, nice little flicks. He's good on the ball. He's willing to go forward. He has a touch when he tries to flick it past the defender and flicks it too much and puts out the play. But he's young. He's learning. I'd be quite happy playing him in games like this and giving Nicholas Kuhn a bit of a rest.
That's bad. I think he's bold. I mean, we look at what he's been involved in the game, right? First and foremost, he's involved in the penalty situation. That's going to be sort of most telling contribution in that. I think a lot of people were frustrated with him in terms of his delivery off the back of that Dundee United game. It was a wee bit shy, quick to cut in. And I agree with Brown Warrior. I think he was very patchy today. And that's the problem, as I says on the last show. He's 10% where you look at him and go, oh, aye, that looks apart. And then he's 90% dung. And I know that sounds really, really blunt. As I says in the other week, he's very much a guy who is very much the epitome of raw, young, unskilled. And that's the problem. I understand what you're saying. I would give him the opportunity to bring in and play him in these games, but how many times do you continually play him? This is 44 appearances for Celtic. Now, I know that's varying in minutes and starts and things like that, but still 44 appearances. And has he really showed enough in that time that you would say, yeah, let's keep him about? We'll go back to Mikey Johnson. And I know I hate to bring that one out the cupboard here, but Mikey Johnson was always hit with that. How many chances do you get?
Yeah. No, probably
it's the sort of same thing, you know. For me, Yang last week, guilty of cutting inside, not taking on his man. And I agree with you. We saw a wee bit more of that today. He looked as if he was at least trying to do the right things, but still maintain every time he gets the ball, he looks like he's in a hurry to do nothing. As I say, his touch, he's not too bad with the ball and dribbling. We saw a couple of nice wee fancy step overs and getting by his man and stuff like that. But for every time he does that, there's the terrible first touch or the poor decision making. I think last week he was absolutely maligned for that chance where he comes in and he really should probably take the shot, and he just blindly fires it into the back post in the hope that somebody's there. You can argue if somebody should anticipate that, but decision making and things like that. But today, again, I think he was patchy, but he gets the penalty. So let's talk about that. I thought, yeah, well played, mate. It was good awareness. He was alive to the ball. He runs in front, and mate, can we argue it? I know they VAR'd it, but
listen, I think it was a stone wall. He's got there before the keeper's wiped him out. For me, it's a stonewall penalty every day of the week. I mean, you're saying about him there, Steve, well, he's only going to get better with game time. If you keep this young lad on the bench and don't really give him these chances, then he's not going to get any better. Obviously, having Nicholas Kuhn in there, you're going to start Nicholas Kuhn every single day of the week. But for me, it has to be getting wee chances. And a game against Motherwell, when you want to rest Nicholas Kuhn, for me, is an ideal chance for the young lad to start. So, listen, fair play to him. He gets there, he wins a penalty. And then, like you said, we know what happens thereafter. Arne Engels, who was pretty much a shadow, shall I say, up until that point, hadn't really done anything. Gets up, doesn't do his stutter this time, didn't do the stutter run up, just runs and puts the ball away. What was the comparison they used in the Celtic? He was like a Belgian cucumber.
How you're playing?
I don't know what this is. I'm going to need to have a wee look at it and see what the deal is with a Belgian cucumber, but apparently he's as cool as one of them. So
yeah, well, since you've brought him up, I want to talk about performances, because that was the sort of key takeaway, isn't it? And yeah, we've got to look at St Johnstone. We've got to look at Rangers as games to play. We'd like to think St Johnstone will fall into the same category of today, take care of himself and all that kind of stuff, right? But Engels, you bring him up. For me, again, another surprise one to be in. I suppose at times, and we'll go on to Hatate, he's improved when he came on. But I think in terms of the Hatate or Engels, at times it's kind of been a wee bit like, do you want stabbed or shot? You know, it's not really, neither one has been something that's been that pleasant or something that you want to experience as of late. That's not been disrespectful either. I think they're both very talented players. Again, as I say a million times on here, calling it with your eyes, they've just been poor. There's no other way of dressing that up. So Engels gets the nod, as you say, and you took the words out of my mouth. I thought Engels was largely anonymous. Now, he steps up, and he obviously delivers a nice, cool penalty. I don't think he's missed a penalty for Celtic, and he's perfect in that respect there. A lot of pressure. Obviously, he's been the designated penalty taker, regardless of how he's playing. That just seems he's the guy that we go to. So what did you think up until that point? Because the penalty comes at 43, 44 minutes. It's quite late on in the first half. And a lot of people were saying, you know, I listened to some other podcasts and the like from last week, and they're saying Engels gets a hard time, you know, when you're at the stadium and you watch him, he does a lot off the ball. You know, I've been at the stadium a lot of times this season. I've seen a lot of Arne Engels in the flesh, and I don't prescribe to that. I just think he looks a wee bit lost in the shuffle. What did you think his opening period before the goal, mate?
Listen, mate, I was calling it last week as well, and I was saying, like, what is an Engels? What does he actually do? For me, he's been anonymous. He's got this big price tag, and I know he's young, and I know he's a Belgian international and all of this kind of stuff. And when you come in with that kind of price tag, I'm going to expect a lot of you. I really am, especially at a club like Celtic.
Jump in. Is that unfair? Because we keep bringing that up. We keep, and I know it's unavoidable. We keep bringing it up, and as we say, I genuinely do think he'll get better. I think next season will be season, but in the here and now, Paddy, what is it that's just not quite there? Because again, I look at it. Cal McGregor wasn't extraordinary today. He was bang average. He'd done enough. For me, the MVP of the midfield, again, was Bernardo.
Yeah.
So what is it that Engels is or isn't offering us?
He's not breaking up the play. He's not getting involved as much as what he should. If people are saying he's making these runs, then it's up to other people to find him when he's making these runs. But he can't be running into space if he's not getting the ball. We've made 827 passes, like you said in there, Steve. And how many of the passes were to Arne Engels, and how many of them did he make? I guarantee you it's not going to be a lot. You can probably count it in your hand. I'm not going to slate the wee guy. Listen, he takes a brilliant penalty. He's a cracking young player, but he needs to do it. He needs to show us more. For me, he just needs to get involved a bit more. Give us a bit. Maybe he just needs a bit of a bite about him, a bit more fight. He needs to know what it means to play for a team like Celtic, and I don't think he does.
Do you think it's very much the classic, a young guy bedding in, finding his feet, finding his role? I mean, we can obviously look at guys like McCowan and say he came in with a bit of swagger and he commands and he's pointing, he's dictating when he can, as if he's still at his old club. He's obviously a wee bit more of a seasoned pro, knows the league, he's a Celtic guy himself. All that kind of stuff that you sometimes take for granted, or maybe you put too much stock into. Do you think it's really just as simple as he's a young guy that's got to find his place? He's got to find his personality, where he slots into the team. Because again, let's look at Taylor, whether folk like him or not. Taylor came in, he was quite nervous, but now you listen to interviews, you listen to players talking about him, he's seen as being one of the instrumental characters on and off the field.
I know, exactly. Listen, Greg Taylor, like you said there as well, when you bring him up, he was decent today as well. He did have one of the passes, pretty much a carbon copy of what he done against Rangers when he plays the ball into the middle of the park and gets intercepted. And listen, if Motherwell were anything in attack, they would maybe have capitalised on that, but we were lucky enough to escape without conceding there, thanks to big CCV, who I thought, again, the day was outstanding. He was fantastic. I
thought it was exceptional, mate. In terms of other players that we've mentioned that I thought were, good or didn't do their chances any harm moving forward, Adam Ida, gets himself in there. I think it's time that we do play Ida more often and start, as we say, partly as a wee warning shot to Kyogo. We don't want him to get too comfortable. He's been very comfortable over the past couple of seasons. He's been the go-to. Obviously, his record tells you why that is, but Ida comes on today, couple of decent involvements in play. The thing that I do like about him a lot more is very similar to Giakoumakis. He'll fall deep. He's always looking for the ball. He's always getting involved at the early stage of the play to win the ball and move it forward. But as I said before, it gives you that option where usually we're passing it about. There was a lot more zipper play today. We were moving things about. We were a lot more purposeful and fast with it. But you can zip a ball into him and you know he's going to control it 9 on 10 times. And the amount of times we saw him today, he's back to the goal and he was either coming forward, taking it and pinging it back into midfield and getting off that run, or he was just knocking it off. It was a huge difference in the way that we play. Gives us a wee bit of an extra dynamic, obviously physicality as well. But I just felt that we're more purposeful when Ida's there. It's like, I know it's the cliche, a target man, but it's something, it's a central focal point for us to work to. But it's not just a case of find his run. As I say, you can say, no, I want to use him as a link-up pass. You wouldn't be thinking that way playing the ball into Kyogo. I'll use him as a link to run on. Because Kyogo wouldn't do that.
No, that's it, exactly. And Engels gets involved in the play quite a lot as well. Not Engels, sorry, Ida. He gets involved in the play a lot. And we speak about that with Kyogo. Say Kyogo plays better when he does start to come for the ball and get involved in the build-up and stuff like that. But you don't often see it from him. And Big Ida, like you said, I'll give him his due. Every time the ball gets to kind of 30, 40 yards out, the big man's eyes light up. He starts to kind of move about in there and kind of come short for the ball. And like you said, the link-up play, he's going to hold off defenders. He's a target, he's a unit.
Mate, he gets you up the park, and we've seen that with the early sort of big involvement he had in the game. Bit of a calamity, the two Motherwell guys deck each other, but he gets the ball. And again, similar to one of the guys that you love, Samaras, he's got that deceptive speed where he just breaks the play, strides down, and it's a brilliant ball into Maida. As he says, he gets you up the park, whether it's simply doing what he's done there and find that pass, or he's getting up and winning a foul. He always seems to advance you whenever the ball's played at him or the ball's at his feet, no matter one way or another. he's going to try and advance you up the park. More often than not, you're either going to get off a shot or you're going to get a free kick somewhere far up the pitch. And we saw that. It's a great ball into Maeda. The control's lovely. It was very reminiscent to, the situation that he found himself in against Rangers in that cup final. Can he convert it? A decent save, Paddy, or is it just a bit soft?
It's a decent save, let's be fair. Like you say, the pass through is brilliant. Maeda does what he does, runs away from defenders. He gets the ball out his feet, puts it onto his left, and then tries to just, like you say, do what he does against Rangers, just kind of slot it into the corner. But yeah, it's a decent enough save by the keeper, so I'm quite happy with it.
In terms of that first half, Pad, I mean, there wasn't really too much. It felt a wee bit stuffy. I think that was the best of the chances really there. And then obviously we get the penalty. So other than that, from open play and chances, that's probably as good as it gets in terms of that first half. But unlike the United game, I didn't feel uneasy as if, where's the goals coming for here? And I know you're at home and there's a lot of sort of difference there. You always have more confidence playing at home. But I just felt that the tempo of the game, the way we were moving the ball about, it felt almost inevitable for me. And as Brown Warrior said earlier, sometimes teams will play that compact, deep way. And the likes of United and United, it just doesn't carry off. But today it does. We're showing them the ball. And people have said this before, and I felt at times we were doing that a wee bit. For as little possession as they had, we were inviting them on to us a wee bit more. Even though we were quite fast with the ball, I felt there was periods where one or two of the guys that had the ball, they would just hold for that wee extra second to kind of forget the press, and it provided the opportunity to pass the ball through them. So I didn't even think in that first half that there was any concern. The goals were going to come at one point, Paddy, one other way or another.
Yeah, that's the way I thought. I was pretty confident coming to the end of the first half where the goal was going to come. You were kind of looking at it, watching how we were playing. Like you said, the possession, we were good on the ball. We were pressing. We were getting the balls into the box. Like you said, against Dundee United, the final third is where we lacked that killer pass, and where that didn't really see where the goal was coming from. But then you look at today, and we had Ralston, like you said, bombing past Yang and pinging balls into the box, and you had Dyson breaking through the defence, you had Ida holding up. So for me, it was just a matter of time before the breakthrough came, and then obviously we get kind of lucky with the penalty. It was a penalty, obviously, but we get lucky with that point.
Do we get lucky, Paddy? Or is it knocking on the door? Is it
you're
knocking
on the door, but it's still, you're lucky enough to get the decision. Do you know what I mean? So
Patton's assistance, Paddy. I mean, it needs to stop. I mean, imagine getting taken out in the box. I mean, it's out of order, innit? How dare we?
Of course, it is. I know.
Get the statement out. Get the crayon out. Out of order. It's out of order. And in the other game, Big Butland didn't mean it. He was just coming out to tickle him, and didn't matter. Patton's assistance. Damn these referees.
I know, it's terrible, mate. Listen, it's hard. Philippe Clement still hasn't slept since the cup final, and it's
everybody in Europe's talking about it.
Everybody in the world's talking about it. Mate.
The world is talking about it. Anyway, but listen, back to the game. Half time, 1-0. It's all right. We're comfortable. We're decent. No changes. We come out very much unchanged. I think that's fair to say. I didn't really think anybody was particularly lacking in that, and that was enough for us. First incident of the second half, I want to bring you on because we talk about penalties there. This situation with Maeda, what's your thoughts? Because for me, I think he gets on, I know the ball's running away from him, but you've got to take into certain things. Bounces right in front of him. It just, bounces on in front of him in the box. It runs out. Let's be honest. I know it's what ifs, but you put your mortgage on him getting that ball, right?
Yes.
Because it is Maeda. And it's irrelevant, I suppose, whether he's got the ball at his feet or not. Is it a foul? He's pushed in the back, put to the deck. I don't even think he gets looked at. For you, is that one a penalty, or would that be a liberty?
Listen, you've seen them given. I'll say that. I'll go to that. I don't know if I want to put my neck on the line and say, listen, it was a stonewall penalty. He's running. He gets the ball. He's in front of the defender. There is contact. Now, if it goes too far and they show the freeze frame or they show it in slow motion, we're getting a penalty. Like you said, I don't think it went to VAR. I think they kind of maybe had a quick look of it. I think Dyson doesn't do himself any favours by getting up and trying to play on. I think if he lies there and plays the victim, then we get the penalty. But you would still rather see your players try and get up and go for the ball.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a couple of folk are saying there that they think that it was a penalty. It's one of the ones. I just wanted to bring it up because, let's face it, the penalties, the VAR, whether we like it or not, it's been on everybody's lips. It's been on. It's been all over social media. Been awash with it for the past week of the standards, and I think we only need to look at the Motherwell game to see that the lacking there, where there was a penalty Stonewaller denied against Kelly, and then that ridiculous, now rescinded red card that was awarded out to the Motherwell player. So you can understand why folk are looking at things like this here. But in terms of that, it's one of the ones. It can go one way or the other. As you say, he gets back up, he tries to get through the ball. But for me, I think there's enough contact there where we really should be looking at it. But it is what it is, isn't it? But the game carries on. We're not too bad. We still keep our maintain possession. Plenty of phone football. We actually get a wee scarcity at 1-0. Nothing's particularly set in stone. You can have all the possession of the day. You can be making things, but you've also got to keep alert. And we get a wee warning shot with the Motherwells. A wee bit of stramash after a corner. It's in the box and it gets cleared off the line. Just a wee sharp reminder. I think that was as good as it got for Motherwell, to be honest with you, Paddy.
Yeah, was that another one that Tony Watt cleared off the line for us?
Yeah.
I like that. That's Tony's still showing his colours, and I really appreciate that. A wee Coatbridge boy doing his bit for Celtic. I like you say, a decent ball into the box, and they've done that a few times. Quite a decent delivery, and I think we're always vulnerable for a set piece. I think that's if you're looking at teams playing against us, that's probably our vulnerability is set pieces getting played in towards the box. And I thought we didn't really deal with the corners especially well. It was a decent shot on target, but listen, Big Tony's jumped up and he's tried to, I don't know, he tried to block it, he tried to put it in, I don't know, we'll maybe ask him when we get him on.
Don't say he was trying to block it, Paddy, just feeding the paranoia.
I know, but listen, feed them it, give them it. I'm quite happy with that, but like you said, there was a decent enough chance and a warning shot, like you said. So, yeah.
Quickly extinguished, Paddy, because one of your other favourites, Maeda, gets on the end of it. Good header in there, but good delivery in the box. But for me, it's all about Scales. And we spoke about Scales earlier on. Scales brings a wee bit of confidence in terms of moving forward. He's comfortable to bring it out for defence and find a pass and start setting up the play, setting the tempo, building for the back and all that we want to do. But it's very good. He gets himself to the front post. We flick on. Maeda's there at the centre of the box. Heads it home. Nice and easy. Home and dry 2-0. Can't argue with that, Paddy.
Listen, not at all. We don't score for enough set pieces. We've said it so many times on here. Free kicks, corners. If you look at the amount of corners that we get each game, we should be capitalising on them. I know we tried to do the daft wee short corner when Greg Taylor touched the ball and he tried to run out with it and get called back. But listen, Scalesy, every time he starts, he gives you that option. He's one of the only guys that we've got that will attack the ball in the box. Carter Vickers, you get it from him now and again. Depends what kind of mood he's in. Big Scales, every single time he's on that park, if you put a corner in anywhere around about the vicinity of him, he's getting a head on it.
Scaldini.
Yes, big Scales Dini, that's it, the Ginger Maldini. He gets on it and listen, crack and flick on. Dyson's doing Dyson things, isn't he? He's just running about in that box and manages to get on the end.
I think it's good for him. Good for him to get a goal.
Yes.
I say that, you're like, Steve, scores a winning goal against Rangers and penalty, scores a goal against Rangers. But that aside, he's just been a wee bit sort of up and down. He looks as if he's been sort of, not an identity crisis lately, but he's not quite been his shining best. Games against Rangers, we always know that it's going to be 9 or 10 times, it's going to be the game that he lifts himself at. Yes. Self-explanatory. We'll look at the Dundee United game. Nobody's fantastic there, but he cut quite a frustrated figure. So it was just good to see him today, getting a wee bit more, his foot on the ball, running about, making it happen, obviously getting a goal. And of course, that is his last sort of hurrah, because quickly, we get early subs this time. It's no 65 minutes. I was quite surprised. Before the hour mark, we get a raft of subs. We get Maeda coming off. Sorry, we get Yang, we get Ida, we get Bernardo coming off there. And then, of course, Hatate, Kuhn and Kyogo come on. Am I wrong? Keep my head on, but there's not really too much more from in terms of the input of the game. And I want to talk about these subs because we spoke about the depth or the lack of depth in terms of looking at Yang. We've touched on him a wee bit there, but a lot of people are saying it. And your man there, Hatate, you know, there's our very own Paul saying that Hatate coming on looked fresher, tempo was higher than several previous games, and he looked sharp. This is how he wanted. You know what I mean? That's it.
Listen, Rio was brilliant. When he come on, you've seen a different perspective in the Celtic midfield. We started pushing forward a lot higher. I thought it gave Callum McGregor that wee option to push forward. And when Callum moved, Hatate sat in. And then when Hatate went forward, Callum sat in. And it's always a nice dynamic to see that when it happens. So, listen, for me, John says it there, the dimension changed completely. The subs, for me, changed the game and made us look better, especially bringing on guys like Nicholas Kuhn for Yang. That's an absolute cracking upgrade.
And it was good to see him coming on as well. Obviously, there was the worry that he'd been injured or sickness and it'd keep him out a wee bit. So for him to get some minutes in his legs, very, very important. Obviously, we'll get on, he touches, gets a goal as well, adds to his ever-growing tally as well. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. It was good to see the subs coming on, and it did lift the dimension of things. Either comes off, I thought up to that point, 60 minutes or thereabouts on the park, he runs about, he does well. I don't think he done himself any harm. I would definitely be looking at him to start in the next couple of games, of course. Even the Rangers game, I just feel that would give us a wee bit more threat, bit more dynamic threat than Kyogo. We know about his runs, we know what his record is against Rangers, but I liked what I saw despite there not being a goal to show for his efforts. In terms of the subs, yeah, definitely Hatate and Kuhn were the big difference makers for me. Kyogo gets a chance, but it's pretty much as we've seen, before. It's either hit or miss. Kyogo will have chances. He'll either put one away or he'll fluff his lines or whatever. I don't necessarily think he contributed much more in an attacking sense for that, but definitely I thought Hatate looked a lot better than we've seen him before. And I know that you were putting a couple of messages in there at the chat because that's what you do. He's your guy. You absolutely love it. And of course, just before we get the goal, we also make way for Engels at 70 minutes. We bring on McCown as well. And I thought McCown looked pretty lively as well. A lot of criticisms last week about him losing the ball and things like that, but I genuinely think that both him and Hatate looked a lot more assured in the ball. There was a lot less losing the ball, a lot less slack possession, slack passes for both. So improvements, and that's all you want.
Listen, like we said before, it's bringing on that type of player. If Engels isn't playing well, if Bernardo isn't playing well, bringing on Hatate or McCowan and somebody in that kind of level, you're not going to dip. It's always going to be either an upgrade or someone of a similar standard. And listen, I thought with McCowan, he always does himself favours when he comes on. He's, like you said, he's assured, he's comfortable on the ball, he's direct. He's quite happy to take on a shot every now and again as well. He's one that you know what you get with him. He's going to push forward and he's got an eye for a pass as well. So, listen, absolutely brilliant for me. The substitutes were top notch. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and Punch, listen, but you only need to look as far as Paddy for the praise on him. I think, I think even some of the worst eyesight in the world could see that he's not been great lately, but it's good to see that he comes on and he makes a difference. And of course, he gets a goal. That's a bit more characteristic of what we've seen from him. Gets the ball, shuffles it out. It's a nice wee bit of play and firing one in. For the outside of the box. I thought that was a good goal, but he also does well in the third goal. With Kuhn, I thought it was a good bit of possession. He's on the edge of the box. There's two guys all around him. Quite strong to get the ball out, make that wee pass out before the ball comes into Kuhn, and of course runs through. It's a good goal for Kuhn. Very typical of what we've seen for him. Wee bit of a deflection maybe, but we'll take it.
Listen, the shot's on target. I think the keeper's probably going to save it, but takes the deflection and goes into the back of the net, and it's kind of what you've come to expect for Nicholas Kuhn. If he doesn't score a goal, he's going to get an assist, or he's going to cause a bit of damage. He's going to put the keeper under pressure, and that's exactly what he does. I don't think he'll let the game up like we've seen him do previously, but listen, he gets a chance and he takes it. And that's exactly what this guy's doing. He's an incredible talent, and he's one that we sorely miss when he's not in the squad. And that showed last time out against United as well.
Do you think that looking ahead to this game against St Johnstone, that's obviously the next one round the corner, we'll obviously look at Rangers, right? Rangers, I know you've got to look at St Johnstone first and foremost because that's the next one.
Yes.
But do you look at that game with a view of what you're going to do against Rangers? I know you says in games like this, and I'll fit St Johnstone into that sort of category. Yeah. In games like this, you can play young. In games like, you can do this, you can do that. Do we go with who's going to start against Rangers, against St Johnstone? So, all hands to the pump, get everybody running.
Aye, do you know what I would get them all out there. I would go full gung-ho, shall we call it, against them. Get everybody on, start with your full squad, your Kun, Kyogo, Arida, and your Maeda up front. Middle of the park, you could argue who that's going to be, of course you could. But I would start with the big boys in there and batter them for the first half, and then like that, if you're 2-0, 3-0 first half, then make the substitutions, then bring on your Yangs and your Palmer, I don't know, Alex Valle, things like that. You bring on these guys. I think you're on mute, Steve-O. But I would start off fast and get the game done and dusted, and then give the players a bit of rest going into the January game against the Baddies.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to look at that game there. As I say, I think there's people that have come on that have done themselves no harm at all. I'd like to see Ida again start up next week. I'd definitely like to see that. In terms of the midfield, Engels gets the man of the match, as we say. Is he going to feature again against St Johnstone? In terms of looking at that game, I think there's no harm in playing him. I think I would definitely suggest maybe play him. And Bernardo, I think he's been very consistent, regardless of whether he's started or where he's been brought on. So I think we've seen enough of Bernardo that you know what you're going to get out of him. I think that goes without saying. McGregor will always play. There's been an improvement in Hatate this week, obviously, coming on the bench. So it then is that question, do you start with maybe McGregor, Engels, McCowan, or Engels, McGregor, and Hatate? Either way, I think maybe shuffle the pack a wee bit in the midfield there, just to sort of get a real close look at the guys who are going to be maybe the outside choices. Because looking at Rangers, for me at this moment in time, it's got to be Bernardo and it's got to be McGregor, of course. So I would maybe mix it up a wee bit there in terms of that. But I thought not too bad. We also get another look at Valle comes on just before the 80-minute mark. Taylor comes off the park. He gets a really good reception, a bit of applause coming off the pitch. And I think that touches on how good he actually was. Again, a guy who's always up and down. Whether it's on here or elsewhere, you always hear people talking. And for every time he's getting his praises sang, he's getting absolutely roasted. I thought it was a very assured performance for him as well. Provided a lot of assistance as well in the midfield. We need to add an extra body to sort of get round the stuffy sort of compactness that they were putting on show. But a good performance from him. Vi comes on. I don't think he'd really too much to do, Paddy. I don't even know if he touched the ball, mate, to be perfectly honest. I thought Greg Taylor getting an applause going off the park was absolutely fantastic, and it was well deserved. Like you said, coming in and getting involved in the middle of the park and going looking for the ball. Yeah, he gives it away once, but listen, nobody's going to have that perfect performance, are they? I thought going forward, he actually looked comfortable on the ball. He was pretty much in every position. I'd like to see stats and see how much of the grass he actually covered, because he was everywhere today. Yeah, and that's what you want. If Dai's Maeda has a performance like that, Paddy, what's your reading on that? See the situation we're looking at. Obviously, Taylor is still to sign a contract. Yeah. Does very well, because you see he's covered the pitch very, very well. Good performance. Bailly is there as an option. He's not really been getting used. Of course, there was a chat him going back to Barcelona. It doesn't look like that's going to be happening now. There's the swirling talk, of course, of I don't want to say inevitability that Tierney will come back to Celtic, but it's getting reported far and wide from reputable sources. The likes of your Steve McGowan's and Sky and whatnot are all coming into the fold with these kind of things. They might just been asked about. He's laughing and joking, being a wee bit coy. I think realistically, we're looking at him as going to probably be one of the signings that we could expect, I suppose, is a word they put in it, in January. So where does this leave the situation with Bailly and Taylor, mate?
I think Taylor, if he gets offered an extension, will take it. I think he'd be stupid not to. The whole Kieran Tierney thing, it's got an inevitability about it, a kind of birthday card pish thing about it, isn't it? It's all kind of, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere, and it's just, is it too good to be true? A fit Kieran Tierney in that squad is incredible, but he's been littered with injuries, and he's been in and out of the Arsenal squad, he was in and out of the Real Sociedad squad, and
so, Paddy,
matches, I just...
talking about it, and again, I know we're diverting off, we're digressing away, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because we're talking about a position that we need to strengthen, and no doubt about it. Kieran Tierney, let's not kid ourselves on it. At his age, he's still very, very young, right? He's still undoubtedly, is he a world-class player? Yes, he is, when he's fit. Now, that is always going to be the caveat, when he's fit. Yeah. I've seen people say stuff like, if you could get half a season out of him, I'm sorry, I'm not really buying that, and I don't want to shit on the party. I'm just looking at logistically. So how do we look at it? And I say to myself, how bad are this injury situation? So since he signed for Arsenal in 19 to 20 season, Kieran Tierney has been missing through injury 552 days for Arsenal and Sociedad combined in that period, which equates to him missing 113 games.
Yeah, pretty much 2 years.
Since the 1920 season, right?
Yeah.
Which, is pretty much 2 seasons combined, right? Now, people say, oh, you're stupid and this and that, and how can you rubbish that away? I don't know what Arsenal want for him. They want him off the books.
Yeah.
So let's just say tentatively they maybe want, if there's a fee involved, 4 million, 5 million, right? He's going to take a significant wage cut for his over 100k that he's making. He's not going to come for Alistair Johnson money. He's not going to come for, Hatate money. And it's not about the wages, because Celtic can afford it. Let's not misconstrue what I am saying here. But it'll be Cal McGregor money, it'll be high earner money. My point is, Paddy, I'd love him to come back and be fit. I love Kieran Tierney, he's a fantastic player. One of our own and all that pish. But what Punch is saying, there's no fee for KT. That's fine. That's fine. But what I am going to say is on a high earner, and yes, Celtic can afford it. People are moaning about guys like Palmer, who again won't be getting paid KT money, but they'll get paid decent money to sit in their arse and do nothing on the bench. Or they'll moan about playing 4.5 million for Narotti, who's also sitting on the bench because he's always injured.
Yeah.
So, fee aside, if you were paying 40, 45 grand a hangweight, similar to, let's just say, I remember, that's right, James McCarthy.
Yeah.
And he just becomes the new James McCarthy. And you maybe get 12 games out of him a season. Would Celtic be better placed going and spending serious money, maybe 6 million or something, on a left back they want? Let's hark back to when the manager wanted Castagna, for example. Yeah. £6 million. I know you can say whatever you think of his trajectory and how his careers went, but I'm just using him as an example, right? Would Celtic be better placed if they were really serious about upgrading this left back position, go and spend good money, 6 million or more, for a now fit playing entity who could be more? Or do we go for bleary-eyedness and go back to Kieran Tierney because he's one of us and he loves Celtic, and what an opportunity? Yeah,
listen, it's always going to cause debate, and I think both Celtic fans will be sitting there, and if you put 2 Celtic fans in the room, they'll both argue it. I think it does have that element
of... bring up Celtic. If Kieran Tierney comes back to Celtic, he finishes at Celtic. Kieran Tierney doesn't have another move on him after Celtic. I genuinely don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think you get 10 million out of him. And I think if you get 2 seasons out of him, you get 2 seasons out of him to finish, because he'll be fucked.
Aye. Well, he's 27, so if he's going to give you a few seasons, but he's got that, like you said, the injury history, and I want somebody that's going to come in and is going to be there for the team. Greg Taylor's been in there. He's been listen, performances up and down, but he's been consistent. He's been one of the guys that's been there through it all. He's been there through thick and thin, and you know what you're going to get. And sometimes it's better the devil you know, because you can go out there and you can bring in Kieran Tierney, thinking that that's going to be an upgrade on Greg Taylor, and he goes out the first day and somebody knows what he's like. He's got bad knees or he's got a bad fucking hip.
Paddy, just to continually keep this conversation going. Punches, but you're getting a guy back over 25 million for free.
And I understand that.
Cool. I get it. I get it.
I understand it, but
I mean, I get that. And I get that. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, on paper, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I get that. I really do. It's amazing on paper. I'm not shitting on the party. I think he is a world-class player. I'm just asking, trying to have a debate, trying to have a conversation about the situation. No matter what you want to say, no matter how you want to dress it up, 113 games missed through injury, 552 days on the treatment table since 19 to 20, inside 4 seasons. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
Outrageous. Playing in the Premier League. Now, people want to say the Premier League's intense, it's faster, it's harder. He is at Arsenal. He is at one of the best class-leading teams in world football for facilities, medicals, everything else, and he is injured.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Celtic are doing very well in the injury department with how things have been recently. There is no guaranteed. It is a gamble. Is it one I'm willing to take? Yes, if the numbers stack up, and I'm pretty sure they will. All I'm saying is, for me, I don't think that Kieran Tierney is the immediate long-term solution to Celtic's problems. If Celtic go and get Kieran Tierney, they need to go and get another left-back as well. Because I am not pinning all my hopes on Kieran Tierney being the mainstay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So you would just say then you have three left-backs in there?
I say we look at it being Kieran Tierney as being the heir apparent, as the number one starter, but you have an equally able deputy filling in. If Taylor wants to take a wage cut or whatever and stick about, cool. But I'm looking beyond Taylor. I'm looking beyond Vi. I'm looking at Tierney plus one. I'm looking at 2 guys brought in that can play at left back, because I am not pinning all my hopes on Tierney being the mainstay that everybody thinks he's going to be.
I don't see that happening. What I see happening is the loan deal continuing for Alex Valle. I see Greg Taylor continuing another year contract and being the standard.
And I get that. Nobody wants to be injured on purpose, but the point is he has been injured.
Yeah.
It's an unavoidable conversation. People think when you bring that up that you're shitting on the guy and saying that he's fucking lazy bastard, and we're not.
Listen, he's incredible. He's a brilliant player. I'm not touching on that. It's just you need consistency, especially with the amount of games that we play in a season with Champions League and things like that. Going forward into next season as well with the Champions League, we're going to have to play qualifiers.
And plus, I'll say this as well: the English League is intenser. It's more. Is it more physical? No, it isn't. Scotland's a lot more physical, and you've got shitty pitches to put up with that you wouldn't quite otherwise get in the Premier League. There's a lot more risks and hurdles to negotiate in the Scottish game. Celtic play an intense, fast-pressing game. Tierney is more than capable of doing it, but you can understand reservations. We don't play him out in the Rocky 9 on 10 times, or Carter Vickers in plastic pitches in case their legs fall off.
Yeah,
you know. We're just adding to that.
I totally agree, mate. I think it's birthday card pitch. I really think it'd be incredible to come in and be a brilliant asset to the club, but we need to keep him fit, and that for me is the main thing. Listen, if that's right, if you think Taylor's Varzowski, then we need to bring in 2 like Steve was saying.
I agree. I do agree to an extent. I think that has been kicking on. So that's my point. If Taylor's going to be the one to go, Vi is probably going back to Barca, because I reckon we would have maybe played him more if we thought we were going to keep him about. Mm-hmm. If Tierney's the one that everybody thinks, and probably, let's be honest, the manager's going to pin it on, he'll be the guy that he'll want. He'll be the marquee signing, the homecoming, the big deal, get the fanfare out. We also need to be looking at somebody else. 100%, we really, really need to be looking at someone else. And that's all I'm saying. I want adequate cover. I know we've been off on a wee bit of a tangent there, but we're looking at areas. Bernaby, we'll make some money off of him. There we go. That's positive. I am not against bringing Bernaby back. I'll say that, and having him around the squad. And the reason I would say that is because the way that the transfer market works over there is quite unusual. The timing, I think if you remember when he actually left us, was it not something stupid like March or something that he left the first time around? So my point is that interest isn't going to die off. He's a known quantity in that league. That team want to get him back, right? There's no harm in bringing him back and having him in and around the squad, right? Play him minutes here and there and see what he's get. And you know what? You might just put him in the shop window. See if he's crap, right? See if he's garbage and it doesn't quite work out. They still know his performances in the league. And they'll be looking at his performances in that league alone, and that'll be enough to get him back. Who knows, by the way, you might play him, he might play a couple of good games, and there might be a wee bit more interest in him other than just over there. I'm not against it, because we could have him up to as late as I say, it's like March or whenever their transfer window goes. Why not?
Listen, that's it, exactly. We get a player in and we get him for that kind of reason. We're going to need a left back at that point, probably. So, listen, bring him in, play him, like you said, put him in the short window, and then hopefully you start to get bids for him. But listen, we'll wait and see. The transfer news is kind of all over the place. Let's talk about Hatate's goals.
Aye. Well, you can talk about Hatate's goals. I think it's a good one, but it's a wee bit more of what we've seen, wee bit of strength, shuffles it on the right hand side, gets the shot off. We'll take it. I know you were waxing lyrical, mate.
It's an absolute thing of beauty, especially when you're sitting at 3-0 and Paddy, as he always does, predicts 4-0. Who else is going to do it but the prodigal son, Rio Hatate? Gets the ball, mate. Fantastic. I sound like Chris Sutton talking about his lob against Rangers, don't I?
You were loving it, mate. Loving it.
Fantastic touch, and what a finish. It's what we expect from him. He had a few shots where he hit it against defenders, or he kind of tried to get the ball out his feet a bit quicker. But listen, fantastic finish, and it's what you want for your midfielders, is to press and to crack the ball for that kind of distance. And Rio's got it in his locker, 100%. Yeah, you're on mute, Steve-O.
Try to be polite, mute when I'm not on. Oh, there you go. But in terms of our other Japanese sub that comes on, of course, Kyogo, late chance off. There's two. There's the one near post save. Maybe not so sharp. Yeah, maybe not so sharp there. But again, gets in the right position there, of course. One would have been an absolute world day. Gets the wee flick round the corner, the ball gets played in, he tries the overhead kick, and he just fresh airs up.
Listen, Kyogo does what he does. He gets in front of the defender for his cheeky little shots. So I was pleased with that. I was pleased with Kyogo getting in there, and I was pleased with his running off the ball. Let's say that's what you get from him. The running off the ball, the looking for it. You've seen it so many times as well. We're playing the ball about in the middle of the park, and Kyogo's making the run. And we've seen it a few times with Dyson as well. Earlier in the first half, Dyson was making that run across the right back. Sorry, he's running away for the right back, and he's kind of coming in behind the defender. And we weren't playing the ball, so he's making the runs and dragging the people out of the way, dragging the defenders back. And you get that quite a lot, and that opens up the play. As much as they're not getting the ball, they're dragging defenders here, there, and everywhere, and it must be an absolute nightmare to play against.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, there's a fact for Ida to start. There's a chance for him, and I think Ida should start against St Johnstone. I think he's done enough. I think he's put himself in there. And I think it'd be nice to see Kyogo get a wee bit of a rest and maybe come on as an impact player, because it seemed to give him a wee bit between the teeth of the day. He come out and he was running about more, he was getting involved a little bit more as well.
So Paddy, what's your takeaways for the day? Moving towards a game, obviously against St Johnstone's, a compact St Johnstone. A couple of days later, Rangers at Ibrox. Obviously today's results, but result really. Let's forget Aberdeen. Aberdeen have made an arse. Arse is collapsed. That's it. Forget Aberdeen. Scratch them up as better luck next year and all that garbage. That is what it is. The main result today that really does us a turn is, of course, the Rangers game. Fantastic. Yeah. Love it. You know, sitting there laughing at us taking a draw against a team that they drew one each against, you know, also this season at home, I believe. But the point is they are now 12 points behind. It gives us a nice wee breakwater. And, you know, as it's been said in the comments, it almost makes whatever happens one way or another either an irrelevance or an inevitability. If we beat them, obviously we've got to get negotiate St Johnstone, which I fully do. So let's do something we don't normally do and take St Johnstone for granted, right? Let's just do that and look towards the game. Rangers have got some tough times as well. You know, we've got some tough fixtures. They're coming up as well. So it's going to be really, really tough for them. But that game, we go into it. If we stay, take out St Johnstone, 12 points ahead, you know, a draw does us no harm. A loss doesn't damage us. We're exactly as we were at the start of this week.
Yeah.
A win buries them.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you want.
A win destroys them, mate. Like Anthony said there in the comments, to take for the day, 4 different goal scorers today. None of them your strikers. That for me is incredible, especially going into these kind of latter stages when you've got lots of games coming up, because we know what we get with our strikers. We know Kyogo loves a goal against them. Kyogo loves a Derby Day goal. Big E does come up trump as well, hasn't he? He's done a wee bit against them as well. So listen, St Johnstone will take care of itself. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 4-0. I'd be quite happy going in there as well and putting that out. But the gulf between Celtic and Rangers at this moment in time is phenomenal. They had a good cup final, they really did. I think we played poor at some points. I think we made a few mistakes and they capitalised on the mistakes. But I don't think they'll make the same mistakes again. I think they'll try and play different against us. Because if they come out...
Do you think that'll be to their detriment? Because we came on here and we discussed the game, and as much as folk don't like giving them credit, I watched it back. My initial reaction was as I felt that Rangers tried something different. They looked a wee bit sharper, they looked a bit faster, a bit more aggressive. But then ultimately they resorted to shelling it. But no matter what, it was something slightly different. Do they go back to that well of trying to be more on the front foot again, particularly at home? Because there's going to be an expectancy on them, isn't it?
Yes, of course there is. I think Brendan Rodgers would have looked at the way Rangers played against us, and I think it caught him by surprise. I don't think he expected them to come at us. I don't think he expected them to have such a high press in the final as what they did, because let's face it, they played different to what they had previously played against us. Previously, they tried to outnumber us in the middle of the park. They tried to bully us off the ball. They tried to basically kick Callum McGregor about whenever they had a chance and just nullify the middle of the park. That was their main goal previously. This time, they actually tried to play football. They had players in there with a little bit of skill about them, shall we say. Your Yanis Hadjis and guys like that. There was guys in there that were willing to push forward and do a little bit with the ball. And do you know what? It actually worked in their favour. I think they were decent. I think they played well against us. But I think Brendan got caught out by that. And I think, obviously, winning the cup final was one of the nails in their next coffin. But I think going forward, I think if they do that to us again, Brendan will be ready for it. I think he'll set the team up to be ready and aware of what the dangers are.
And that's the thing, Paddy, we're looking towards Rangers game. As I say, they've got a couple of tough games there, and you know, it's brought up there by Ian. He says, you know, the game at Firth Park is not looking like a gimme for them. Did you see anything? I know we're a different animal, right? I know we are a different animal, but did you see anything in Motherwell today or their past performances to think that, based on what just happened to Rangers there, that could be a tricky game for them? Or is that going to be a warm-up for them where they're back? Or, you know...
Listen, they've struggled there before. I think they've struggled at Firth Park before. Motherwell seem to be one of the teams that always up their game against Rangers, along with Aberdeen. You speak to the Rangers fans, I think that's what they would say. Motherwell and Aberdeen are the two teams that always turn up for the occasion against them. I think going forward, looking at them today, I thought they were played off the park. I thought Celtic dominated the ball, dominated possession, scored when we had the chances. And I think if Motherwell play the way they played today, they'll get melted against Rangers as well. But if they do up their game, then they've got some decent enough players in there to cause Rangers some problems. Yeah.
Well, Paddy, that's us. We're just over an hour. Now, thank you, everybody, as I say, for taking time. It's Boxing Day. It's Boxing Day. And I know there's a big Liverpool game on and all, and the Derts and all that. So I know there's loads of exciting stuff kicking about that you could be watching other than ourselves. So we're grateful for you doing that. But as we say, a couple of games around the corner, 3 days for now. Of course, it's St Johnstone. We'll be back. We'll preview it. We'll talk about it after the event. I'm feeling confident in it. And as I thought today, Paddy, was a good lift for us. It was, again, a performance that we needed. We've been winning games. Things have been a wee bit sticky, but it was a really good return to form. First half was what it was, but the important thing was we were doing all the right things in that first half. We carried on. The substitutions really made a change there in that game. 4-0. Been a long time, Paddy, coming, but 4-0.
We've got it 3 times this season. Once at the very start, once kind of halfway through, and then again the day. So, listen, 4-0 is always my go-to result. Everybody that watches the show and everybody will know that. It's nice to see it come up every now and again. I thought today it probably could have been more. The first half we weren't really firing on all cylinders, but we didn't look like we were going to lose the game. It was a comfortable, very well-drilled performance. And like you said, that's nice to see, especially with all these games coming up. The team that started, there was a lot of fringe players in there. Ralston, Yang, people like that. So going forward from it, I think it's all positive. It has to be positive.
Absolutely.
The baddies losing just puts the icing on the cherry on the top of the cake, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's true. It's been a good Boxing Day. Celtic deliver a knockout blow, and then St Mirren late on just go Awooga and deliver one of their own and smash them down. All good. 12 points ahead. That's what I like. Great start to a weekend, and I'll do this very quickly because don't want to troll here. But remember, your weekend really is only going to get better because that's what you need to do. I know you hate it, but you know it's going to be fun. Get yourself involved, because if you thought the meltdown was at peak levels over terrible refereeing, well, it's going to be at peak levels over garbage play on the park.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. Who are they going to throw under the bus now? Is it going to be Tavernier? Is it going to be Clement? Is it going to be somebody else? Are we going to get a new guy in there? Listen, McLaughlin, I think you're fucking spot on, mate. I think it will be a high-scoring match there. But
I'd love a 6-0. I'd love a 6-0. I'd love a right good back-to-back scuddings to get you right up going to a game. Nothing's going to get you more G'd up than back-to-back scuddings of teams getting into that game at Ibrox. But anyway, Paddy, thank you very much. I'll let you get back to the good lady and the kids. Thanks to everybody for taking the time to join us. We'll be back, as we say, St Johnstone are just round the corner. Rangers are just on the horizon after that, but it's a good start to the weekend. Make sure you enjoy it. Get yourself online. Enjoy the content. Enjoy the meltdown, because it's been happening. 12 points clear, Paddy. Christmas presents, and then a belated Christmas present today, mate, eh?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. It's all good. It's all positive going forward for here. And like we said, come 3rd of January, it could be 15 points, which would be a nice wee buzz going forward.
And I'll be here for that. So anyway, until next time, take care of yourselves. And Paddy, tell them. What did we tell them?
As always, guys, hail, hail.
See you later. Bye-bye.